By the end of this video, you're going to learn whether supersets is something that you must include in every single one of your programs, or whether there's something that's actually holding you back and you need to start avoiding them. To make this video fair, I'm going to put a case against them and also for them, and then come to a conclusion at the end so you have the very best information that you can take away with you and determine whether they are for you or not for you. And if you've landed on this video and you're not too sure what supersets are, in a nutshell, they are just performing two exercises back to back. You would go from one exercise straight into the other without any rest. You would then rest after doing both of them, and then after that rest period, you would go back and repeat those same exercises. This is something that a lot of people do to try and fit in more exercises into the workout, try to save time, or even try and get a bit more of a harder workout in because it elevates their heart rate levels more. Let's cover when you shouldn't be doing supersets and why they can actually hinder you from achieving your best results. Now, the first thing is what I see people doing wrong. I see a lot of people trying to do the same muscle group exercise supersets. What I mean by this is I'll see people do something like a leg extension and then go straight into some walking lunges. This is training the quads in two different movements. So not only have you already weakened your quads, you've now gone into an exercise where you're training them when they're already weak, and into an exercise where you're less stable, so therefore you're not going to be able to get the best out of them. They're already weak, they're unstable, so you can no longer lift as much weight as you can. Whereas if you was to separate these two exercises, you would find that stability would be better, strength would be better, and therefore if you're lifting more weight and training harder in the exercises individually, you're going to get the very best results. So that's the first big issue that I see when people do supersets. Another common error that I see people making with supersets is they try and superset two big compound lifts. Now, if you've ever done a compound lift properly and you've trained to a point of complete exertion, you know how hard that is. So if you're going from one compound lift straight into another, you're going to be massively fatigued, especially if you're doing it correctly. So therefore that second exercise is having a lot less effective workout because it's already fatigued, you're out of breath, your heart rate is up. So you're not going to be able to put the most effort into that given exercise. So when it comes to superset programming, you definitely want to keep it away from using them for compound lifts because it's going to have a negative impact on your results. Something so many people don't understand is when we're working out, we're not just taxing the muscle group that we're training, we're also taxing the central nervous system. Now, our central nervous system is in control of everything that we do, and especially when we're trying to lift a heavy amount of weight. So you may feel like you're doing a superset for one muscle group and then doing another, and that's okay because it's two different muscle groups. But you're not taking into consideration the recovery that your central nervous system needs after that first exercise. Because if your central nervous system isn't fully recovered, you're not going to be able to recruit as much muscle fibers in that second exercise. So again, if that exercise is performing a muscle group that you really want to see a big difference in and see some changes in, you're probably not going to get the best results because you're unable to recruit the muscles that you're needing fully to be able to have that effective and grow that specific area. So again, this is going to be a big consideration that you need to make when programming supersets into your workout. Is it going to hinder you from being able to get the best? If so, then we have to make sure that we don't do a superset for those given exercises. And the final issue is people often use supersets as a shortcut for training hard. And what I mean by that is I see so many people who aren't training hard enough on their first exercise that they then add a second exercise on it to make it feel like they're training hard enough. If you were to watch me or my clients train for one given set, you would see that afterwards we are done in. We need up to 2, maybe even 3 minutes rest just for doing an exercise of squats, bench press, shoulder press, whatever it is. Because we give our all in that one set, we need that recovery afterwards. Whereas I see so many people not doing that training intensity and therefore, okay, let's add in an exercise to get my heart rate up more and make it feel like I train harder. What you need to be doing in that situation is putting in more effort to that first exercise that you feel like you need that rest afterwards. Because if you feel like you can do another exercise, if you feel like you can go again already, that's just an indication to me that you're not putting enough effort in, and that's why you're not seeing results. So if that is one of the reasons that you're currently using supersets, we need to make sure that you stop doing that going forwards and focus on putting more effort into that first exercise. So those are the main issues that I see people making with supersets, and also some of the drawbacks that come alongside of it. But that doesn't mean that you should throw the baby out with the bathwater in this situation, because there are some places that supersets can be beneficial. Now, the first thing is that with my clients, where I use supersets is maybe towards the end of a workout during their accessory exercises. Now, what I mean by accessory exercises is like your bicep, tricep movements or some ab and core work. The reason being is these are much less taxing on your body. They're different muscle groups and they're single joint exercises as well. So they're like isolation work. So therefore you can recover much faster from these exercises, and they're not really going to get in the way or hinder any progress. So when you put supersets at the end of your workout for these smaller exercises, this is where they can actually be beneficial, especially if you're someone that is wanting to save some time and get out of the gym. So what I would actually do in this situation is I would put my bulk of my efforts towards my compound lifts at the start, making sure I take those rests in between. And then at the end, that's when I would introduce some supersets just for those smaller accessory exercises. Superset exercises can also be helpful if you are limited on time. If you know that you're in a little bit of a rush, if you know that you got to quickly get through your workout because you've got something else to do, this can be an appropriate time to be able to start programming some supersets. You may not even need to program supersets every single workout, but sometimes they might become an effective way for you to be able to get a session in even when you're cut short on time. And the final thing for supersets is that if you're someone that genuinely enjoys them and that's the way that you really enjoy your workouts, then obviously that's something you probably want to keep doing, because at the end of the day, if you enjoy your workout, you're going to stick at it for longer and you're going to be more consistent. So although it may not be the most optimal thing for building muscle and building strength, the ultimate goal here is to keep you in the gym training hard for as long as possible. So if supersets are something that you absolutely love and you don't want to do without them, then they could be a really good thing to make sure that you program into your sessions so you can keep turning up session after session. And where it comes to where I stand on using supersets or not is that I'm in the camp that I'd rather try not to use supersets where and when I can, just because I know that the output for every exercise is going to be much higher. You're going to be able to get much stronger. You're going to be able to lift heavier weights. And ultimately, that's going to be the main stuff that is going to be building muscle and strength. And if your goal at the end of the day is to look better in the mirror, feel more toned, and lift as heavy as possible, this is going to be something that's super beneficial for you. I much prefer using something called jump sets. Now, what a jump set is it's kind of a combination of a superset and a standard set, of where we would take one exercise. Let's say, for instance, I do this on a cable chest press. I'll do a cable chest press and go to absolute failure. Then I would rest for around a minute to 70 seconds, and then I would go straight into some cable lateral raises. This is allowing me to get 2 exercises in back to back in a shorter space of time than if I was to do them completely separately, but also it allows me some recovery in between them so I can put in more output between each exercise. When it comes to programming supersets, I would say that, yeah, I definitely wouldn't put them at the start of the workout. I would put them right at the end of it instead. Like I said, the main thing is we want to make sure that we're using as much energy as possible for those main compound lifts, and supersets aren't going to allow that to happen. But I do enjoy putting them at the end of the workout for the smaller muscle group workouts and the isolation stuff, just because they're less fatiguing on your body. So it's a nice, easy way to fit in some supersets towards that end of the session. And the final thing that I would note is if I am strapped for time, or a client has come in late and they need to get away early or something like that during their session, I will say, okay, today we're going to do supersets. We're just going to try and get as much in as we can in a little space as possible, because that is going to be more beneficial for that given session. We do sometimes have to look at what's more optimal for session to session as opposed to an overall thing, because sometimes we do have that little bit less time that we need to try and get more of effective workout in, and getting something in is better than nothing. So this is something where supersets can become very handy. So as you can see, supersets isn't something that's black or white necessarily. It's not like you must completely avoid them or yeah, definitely get them in every session. Like every fitness question, the best answer for them all is it depends. It depends on the individual, it depends on the day, okay? So that's what you need to decide. Like, you need to make an informed decision of when it's right for you and when it's wrong for you. So I hope now you can understand and you can be able to program supersets into your program appropriately from the information you've got from this video. If you've enjoyed this video and learning how I program exercises for my clients, then you definitely want to check out this video here where I break down my full entire workout at the moment. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and then I'll see you in the next upload.